here's a clip for working with goddess pose or horse stance, or sometimes it's called high squat in yoga. So when we're working with this pose, we want to take our feet as wide as the pelvis stays stable. In other words, as your legs go too wide, sometimes we're not sure how wide to take our feet. We'll take the feet super wide, and then there'll be a little bit of a tilt through the back of the tailbone. It'll kind of tuck or tilt downward. Then you know that you've gone too far with your legs. So when you step from hip distance to a wider stance, just make sure that your pelvis feels like it didn't tilt or tuck as you took that stance. Then from here, I left my socks on so that you could distinguish between my feet moving and my thighs moving. So what we really want when we rotate the legs out into goddess pose, we want to have that movement initiate from the top of the legs. So often, what happens when we go to rotate our legs out, we just move from the lower leg and feet. So let me demonstrate what I'm talking about. So as I bend my knees a little bit, I'm keeping my hands at the top of my thighs. And here I'm rotating my legs out in the hip socket. Now my feet turned out as well. My feet followed the femur. So the femur is the thigh bone. And now I'm rotating my legs back in. So there's the end of the chain to the top of the chain, right? Top of the chain is the hip, bottom end of the chain is the foot. What I often see when I help folks get into goddess pose, if you watch here, is nothing rotates at the top of the leg. And then if I look from the knee down to the foot, I just can see people turning out the feet. Okay, nothing happened at the top of the chain. There was no external rotation. So then when we go to bend the knees into goddess, we'll say, well, my knees are narrower than my toes, so my knees are knocking in a little bit. Well, that's because you only turned the feet out. You did not turn out at the level of the hip, and that can be straining on the knees. So I'd really like you to just tune in to your hip sockets here, bend the knees a little bit, rotate just the thigh bone. Now it might be a minuscule amount, okay? Have the foot be the follower. Once you get into that rotation there, take your hands to your lower glutes and just sit back into your hands. So you're bending at the knee and you're bending at the hip. The knees ought to be in line with the center of the feet, and that happened at the level of rotation, if that makes sense. So then you just be here with your hands in your bum. You can have the arms come relaxed alongside your body if you like. And we're just building some strength in this orientation of the legs and the pelvis. So you can stay here as long as feels comfortable, and then straighten the legs, and then you can rotate the legs back towards center and step the feet together. So have fun with goddess pose, and feel free to reach out with any questions.